Welcome back to Declare Independence. Today, I'm just going to rant a little bit. So, I had a good conversation about this with my wife tonight about how, regardless of what I've heard about, none of these lawsuits are going through. Like the suits are getting dropped. Courts are rejecting the cases. This, that, and the other. I feel like I'm in the gross minority, but I I'm just so confident that voter fraud existed on a grand scale. And I love the way that if you pay attention to the verbiage, if you pay attention to the verbiage that all of the mainstream outlets are using, this goes even to Fox News, the words baseless and widespread. Because widespread, what does that even mean? What is widespread? How, like in a state like Georgia, that Trump lost by 14,000 votes out of over 5 million. Like, what even is widespread? Like, that's an undefinable number, right? And obviously, when 0.2% is the difference between a win and a loss, 0.2% is 1 out of 500 votes being fraudulent was the difference between a win and a loss. That's not even widespread, but it's fraud to the point that it would alter an election. The same holds true in Arizona, where there was about 10,000 votes separated the winner and the loser out of well over 5,000. So there again, you see that. I mean, that's point what it was around 0.2 or 0.3% there as well. So widespread is a word that they're using as which is undefinable, and because it's undefinable, you can make it sound as big and as broad as you want, and thus it is baseless when you say there is widespread voter fraud, when the argument really isn't whether there is voter fraud. That's painfully obvious. Everyone knows that there is voter fraud. That's just a thing. It's always existed. It always will exist. Even with IDs, doesn't matter. There's always going to be voter fraud because you can get fake IDs, right? But I digress. It's not even about that anymore. It's about this idea that like everyone's just packing up and going home, and you really underestimate who Donald Trump is, what he's capable of. I don't know a lot, but I'm extremely competitive, and I'm not a billionaire. I'm not even a millionaire. I'm not even 100,000aire. Well, I don't know. I guess if you had, anyways. But the level of competitiveness that is required to become a billionaire, that you are willing to cut anyone's throat that wrongs you, and you're willing to take the praise for anything that you've done right, cannot go underestimated. Okay. And here's why I know that something's up. Now, let's take all those claims out. Claims like Sidney Powell saying she has eyewitness testimonies of people saying in Arizona every Democratic candidate started with 35,000 votes, every single one. Let's take all that crap out. Let's just throw this aside and just use hypotheticals, right? If I'm Joe Biden, imagine for a second you're Joe Biden. Trump for the last few months, let's say Joe Biden was absolutely truthful in saying that everything Trump said was a lie about his son and his family, right? Let's say all that's true. I'm Joe Biden, and all that's true. And Trump has slandered and committed libel against my only son, right? Remember, his family died in car crashes, right? His wife and his daughter, and then his older son died later. Hunter's all he has, right? And your one offspring, the president of the United States, has slandered and libeled him for months. These are not felonies, but these are crimes, by the way, that you can actually win money off. Remember that the Sandman kid, or what was his last name?
Nick Sandman.
Remember Nick Sandman? How he won an undisclosed amount of money from CNN due to libel and slander? Yeah, so these are things that cost money if someone tells lies about you that ruin your reputation, right? And clearly that was the goal. I remember, I'm Joe Biden. That was the goal of President Trump, is to ruin my reputation and my son's reputation and make it so he can't show his face anywhere, which I haven't seen his son around, so maybe that is happening. Okay. Someone that's a sore winner and a sore loser who has slandered my family for the last few months, I'm not letting that person off the hook. And here's the reason why I'm not letting that person off the hook. that person, now granted, we know that Trump got over 47% of the vote. Not all 47% of people that voted Donald Trump love Donald Trump, root for Donald Trump, or even like Donald Trump. But there are at least probably 20 to 25% of people that voted for Trump that would jump off a cliff for that man. Okay? That if Trump sent out a tweet that said, storm the Capitol building with your guns, they would do it. We're talking probably like a fifth of the country. This is real. Like a fifth of the 70 million people that vote. How many? 73 million people. That's a large army. Imagine 15 million people with guns. That's the power that President Trump has the ability to wield. If you don't dispel his lies and myths, if I'm Joe Biden. If I were Joe Biden, and I know this guy's a sore winner and a sore loser and will tell lies about me and my family, the only right thing to do to unify the country and to prove my innocence is to get all the cameras, all the media, and say, hey, Mr. Trump, let's go together. Let's go hand count the ballots in Michigan together where I beat you by 150,000 votes. I beat you by 150,000 votes. It was all legal. It was all legit. There was no fraud committed. Let's go count them together so we can prove that you lost twice. It's my job to embarrass you. I have to embarrass you and make you go away and never come back because I got to make sure that there's some civility in this country. I can't have you tweeting out there's election fraud and send 15 million guys with assault rifles on the Capitol building to destroy the civility and the order that we have in this country. I got to put a stop to that. And the only way to put a stop to that is to embarrass you. And where has he been for the past few weeks? Nowhere to be found. You know, he's doing all the things, including creating an office that doesn't exist. The office of president-elect is not a thing. That's not a thing. He has no authority to do anything in the country. The only thing he has been given the authority to do is to begin the transition, right? Which is completely contingent on what happens on December 14th. So, like I said, if I'm Joe Biden, the only right thing to do and what the country demands, along with the 80 million people that voted for me, is to embarrass the person that's trying to destroy truth and freedom and democracy, because that's what he's trying to do. If I'm Joe Biden, he's trying to take away what 80 million people legally and lawfully voted for. And he's not doing that. He's not saying anything. So that alone, without any evidence at all, that alone shows me everything that I need to know. That if I were on the winning team and I want to make sure I unify every single person and dispel these myths, I will bend over backwards to make sure we could count those ballots on C-SPAN, on live TV. We'll count them together to make sure that they show exactly what really happened and that all these claims are false. But it's not happening. And that says to me that something's up. Now, call that hyperbole, call that, extrapolating a theory. But what I call it is just that simple logic and reasoning. That doesn't take a lot of analysis. Now, the onus falls upon the people making the charges to prove their case. You are innocent until proven guilty in this country, and up to this point, there have been no real court hearings. Joe Biden and the Democrats are absolutely innocent until they are proven guilty. So the onus, the burden falls upon the lawyers that are representing Donald Trump, as well as Sidney Powell, who's not representing Donald Trump, but is representing we the people, to prove it. And they're, these, saying, I know somebody that saw some things that said they'll testify about the things that they saw. That's not how things work. Eyewitness testimony is not rock solid. It doesn't mean it's false, right? We know that all four accounts, the four gospels in the Bible, tell very different stories about the exact same event. But combined together, they produce something that is, the burden of proof is so strong. The amount of evidence that they bring forth, the character and the testimony that they saw is so strong that even though there are differences in their testimonies, they still are proclaiming the same truth. And there is enough similarity between each of their individual testimonies, some of whom never met each other or the Savior, that their testimonies hold true. And so eyewitness verbal testimony is not as good as a GoPro camera catching all this on camera, but we're not going to get a lot of that in a lot of cases. So I'm just going to sit back, relax, and know that if this goes to court and something is proven, which I really do believe, if that really happens, then we're going to see some shakeup. If that doesn't happen, then this is much ado about nothing, and Biden missed a golden opportunity to unify our country by not helping the Trump campaign and the Trump team embarrass themselves further. Because that's essentially what the whispers are, that it's an embarrassment to democracy what they're doing, but they're being allowed to do it. I want to expedite this guy. I got a country to run. I need to make sure this guy embarrasses himself and loses twice, loses 3 times, loses again, and again. And because it's not happening, I know, and if you're watching this, I know that you know that something is awry. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about what's going on. I don't care whose side you're on. I just love to hear the truth. Until I hear it, and the only way we're going to really know if we got the truth is if something comes forth and then a judge declares that's not enough fraud to overturn the election, or say that is enough fraud to overturn the election. Until that happens, it's just going to be he said, she said. So I'll wait that day. But anyways, guys, I hope you have a great day. Thumbs up again if you liked it. If you didn't, thumbs down. God bless. Have a great night.